They picked the wrong man to break, and now there's no shelter from what I bring. I'm not like them. I passed through, flamed and learned to make pain my ally, while others cracked under pressure. I rose not for applause, not for pity, because surrender was never an option. Once the good guy, that title burned away. They brand me a monster and whisper that I've gone too far. Good. I stripped away the softness, so I would never bow to weakness again. I unraveled my heart, crushed it, and reforged it from coal and iron. Mercy and pity evaporated. They mean nothing to me now. I am no longer merely a man, but the consequence of endurance and cold resolve. Inside me a storm rages, a furnace that never cools. Every breath tastes of smoke and distant thunder. My spine is a rod of steel standing against collapsing cathedrals of doubt. My hands are instruments of consequence, to dismantle what stands in my way, and to press meaning into a life born of suffering. I do not fight for absolution. There is nothing left to clutch at, but for dominion, the right to command this existence I carved from pain. I smashed every illusion I once treasured. I saw the hollows behind friendly eyes, the rot wrapped in polite hands, the hidden blade in every smile. I faced that abyss and accepted it. In accepting, I rose above the veneers of civility. They confused courtesy with strength, kindness with armor, yet strength bends beneath the weight of compassion. Mine does not. My strength is austere, stripped of adornment, pure, the residue of a man exposed and remade from ash. As if labels could silence me, as if their gossip could edit my marrow. I had already walked through the inferno and come out steel. I remember the precise moment. I chose defiance, not in shouting, but in stillness. When everyone folded, I stood. I felt the heat of their contempt and heard the thunder of their verdicts, but I did not move. In that pause, I discovered something terrifying to them. Power does not roar, it whispers. I will not, and that is what I became, the refusal in a world demanding obedience. I will not cave to fit. I will not trade truth for comfort. I will not apologize for surviving in ways they never had to. So call me monster. That means I outgrew their cages. It means I quit bleeding for hands that never deserved my blood. It means I chose scars over chains, growth over approval, truth over their tidy fictions of who I should be. Monsters are made, not born. They are forged by betrayal, by nights spent screaming into pillows where no one listened. I remember the person I was before the fall, before the betrayals, before the world revealed its true face, and I honor his death by what I have become. I once wore hope like armor. I once believed in kindness. I was fragile then, and that version of me died screaming. I do not mourn that corpse. I buried it deep, filled the grave with night, and from that dark place I climbed out, not reborn but reforged. My heart is no longer the human kind that cracks and pleads for pardon. They ripped it out, crushed it, cast it aside. Instead of breaking, I became something other, colder, keener, harder. I don't crave pity. I refuse mercy. I want the burden, the pressure, the heat that tempers flesh into steel. I have faced myself in the glass and seen what hides behind these eyes. Not virtue, not grace, but hunger and fury. The stubborn will to stand when all else is shattered. While they sleep I grind, while they weep I sharpen, while they beg the sky for miracles. I become the storm that finishes the fight. I was never like them. They bow, they snap, they fade. I rise, broken bones, ruined hopes, hands stained with blood. I rise because I am different. I am the consequence. I have stood on the brink, felt oblivion whisper sweet release, promised quiet. I didn't leap. I grinned and stepped back, because I learned I wasn't born to fall. I was born to fly, not with wings, but with rage, with defiance, with the laugh that meets the void. I am the truest product of my line, not the fairest, not the most praised, but the strongest and last survivor. Proof that the divine doesn't require perfection, only relentlessness. Grace was offered, fire was won, a mission was handed, a war road I carved myself. I struck the match and watched it roar because restraint was choking me. I vowed to the blaze within that I would never bow, never dull, never yield. I will burn the lies, the doubts, the broken promises down to cinders, and I will walk through the heat, barefoot if I must. Let the pain blister. I've felt worse and lived. Pain no longer frightens me. Failure does not scare me. What terrifies is mediocrity, being forgettable, leaving no tremor in the world. I was made to disrupt and to rule, not for applause but for consequence. I didn't arrive to take part. I arrived to seize. Call me villain, if that comforts them. I never asked to be the hero. I only promised not to. Remain on the ground. Destruction has its purpose, to clear the weak away so the strong can rise. I will risk everything because I can rebuild from ash. I have done it once and will do it again. Surviving is not my aim. I am here to climb, to transcend. If ascent demands fire, so be it. Let the old laws burn. Let their voices die. Let the din be swallowed by the sound of my steps as I climb higher than they dreamed I could. I don't request room, I take it. I don't await chance, I forge it. I don't seek consent, I act. I carve my own way. I am not shattered, I am tempered. Each attempt to bury me only fed the roots beneath every effort to silence me honed. My voice into a blade, every erasure they tried made me return louder, darker, more unbreakable. I stopped fearing flames, I became the flame. So here I stand. No excuses, no trembling, only purpose. I will scorch whatever stands in my path to ascend. When the smoke clears and the embers die down, I will not be the same man who was left for dead. I will be reborn untouchable, relentless, inevitable, and they will learn the price of underestimating me. I do not climb quietly. I rise in infernos. I step into their hall's end. The atmosphere shifts. Whispers falter, eyes widen, breaths catch. They finally recognize the thing they created. But the moment for mercy passed long ago. They had the chance to stand beside me, to show respect, to fear me while I was still manageable. Instead they turned away, and now all that remains for them is submission. They will kneel not in love, not in loyalty, but in terror. I will teach them what power truly means. It belongs not to heirs or ornaments, but to those who seize it with iron hands, who chisel it from resistance and refuse to yield. Those who once spurned me will bow, their knees will scrape stone, their hands will fumble for mercy that does not exist. I watch not out of cruelty for cruelties, sake, but because balance demands it. The order is simple, the weak yield to the strong, and I am stronger than the sum of them all. I do not require apologies. Their words are as hollow as the vows they once offered. I do not want their pity or their regret. There will be no absolution, no neat second chances, no restored past. That world is dead, I buried it with my own hands, and in its place a new order rises, with me at its apex. They must bow to their new sovereign, because there is no rival left, because I have endured longer, because I have outlived every betrayal. I am not who I once was. That person lies under the weight of treachery, pain, and the scars engraved into my flesh and memory. I was reshaped by flame, honed by suffering, tempered on the whetstone of every blade thrust into my back. This metamorphosis was not a choice. It was inflicted, carved into bone and seared into skin. The kindness that once lived soft and naive in my chest was crushed beneath deception. Mercy that once softened me has turned to ash. I recall the light I once carried, the warmth, the simple faith in human decency. But that faith proved a vulnerability. They exploited like carrion. My compassion became a leash, my openness a cage. They used me until I was no longer convenient, then discarded me into the shadow they had made. They misjudged me. Tenderness and softness are luxuries I could not afford while I was drowning. No hand reached for me then, and so I learned to rise alone. I will no longer be tethered to their expectations or softened by their pleas. I took the instruments of my ruin and fashioned armor from them. I turned the knives into spurs that pushed me higher. I made every slight, every lie, every betrayal into mortar for the throne I would claim. They thought my silence meant surrender. They were wrong. My silence was strategy, my patience a promise. When I move with certainty, when I speak, the world listens. I do not ask permission. I take what is owed. I do not wait for permission to rule. I seize it. Their crowns, their comforts, their false altars, all will be reclaimed and repurposed beneath my feet. Let them whisper. Let them scheme in their small rooms. It changes nothing. The reckoning is coming, not as chaos but as inevitability. I will not be softened into someone else's narrative. I will not be a footnote in the stories they tell to comfort themselves. I will be the chapter that burns through their histories. This is not vanity. It is justice. I do not seek to be adored. I seek to be acknowledged. I do not long for their forgiveness. I require only the consequence of truth. Stand aside or kneel. The choice was theirs to make. When they cast me down, I chose to rise, and now the world will learn the lesson they intended for me. You do not extinguish a fire by spitting on embers. You only forge a furnace that becomes unstoppable. If they call me a monster, it's because the world made me so. It stripped away my softness and left me something forged, not broken. Freedom isn't light, it's a weight. You wear like armor, a heavy mantle that makes you stand taller than you thought possible. It is a blade you learn to hold steady. I carry that blade now with hands that no longer shake and with eyes that do not flinch at the sight of blood. Hesitation and doubt belong to the man who once crumbled beneath expectation and pain. He is dust now. What remains is truer, deadlier, necessary. I need no one. They'd only try to drag me back to who I used to be, begging for softness, begging for tears. fears. That person is buried under the ruins of a life they helped destroy. There is nothing left in me to fear. Not failure, not loneliness, not the end. I danced with each and come through. I burned the past and seared the future. Only the present matters, this breath, this fire in my chest that will not die. Doubt has no room here, regret no space. Every tear I shed became another stone in the throne I now occupy. Every betrayal fed the furnace of my resolve. I keep the receipts in my bones. I do not forget. I do not forgive. I rise above bitterness. I am not bitter, only focused, precise, absolute, while others croon comforts to soothe fragile egos. I'm in the trenches, grinding, sharpening, perfecting. I don't seek peace. I pursue mastery. When my eyes close, I don't find rest. I see the next climb, the next battlefield, and I welcome it because pressure births me. That silence that breaks most. People is where I was born. I became the legend who endured dark nights and kept moving. Let them mock, let them doubt. I don't move for noise. I move for outcome. I don't ask for approval or acceptance. Their praise is cheap. I hold something truer. Fire, truth, an unbreakable will. While they slept thinking me buried, I honed my mind into a weapon. While they laughed, I fortified my spirit. When they tried to erase me, I carved my name into stone. I turned every wound into armor, every fall into instruction. I am not here to be liked. I am here to dominate, to conquer, to rise. I am the storm they could not outrun, the flame they could not smother, the weapon they failed to disarm. I remember the cold nights with no one at my side, the silent screams, and hollow stares, the doubts that tried to drown me, and I remember everyone because they built me. They never saw the battles I fought behind closed eyelids. They never felt the nights I rose and fought myself until dawn. Yet soon enough they'll witness the warrior that darkness forged. They shoved me off cliffs, expecting me to break. I learned to glide. They buried me under their scorn, thinking I'd vanish. I sent roots down through their foundations. They tried to shackle me, to domesticate my fire, and taught me how to melt chains. Mercy for them burned out long ago. No pity remains, no soft apologies, only steel and heat. I refuse to bow. I refuse to retreat. I will not kneel. I was not made to blend into the crowd. I was made to lead, to stand on lonely peaks, to cut a road through the storm. I was not meant to be another forgotten name on a tombstone. I was meant to be remembered. I didn't lose my heart. I exchanged it for mastery, not dominion over others, but mastery of myself. Discipline, control, unshakable focus became my currency. While others wasted breath, I built in silence. While others surrendered, I sharpened my resolve. Now I am relentless. I am not an accident. I am the answer. I am not broken. I am reforged. If fear comes for the world, let it, because I am not slipping away. I will not fade, step aside, beg, or bow. I am no longer a spectator, peering through glass. I am the storm hammering the door. I am the voice that demands attention. I am the reckoning come back to claim its due. I am the return. I am the one who knocks.